All right, so far we have taken a look at how to graph functions. We've taken a look at piecewise functions, functions, domain, and range. Unit 8.4 is all about graphing functions to find out where they're equal. So in this situation, we have two graphs. We have the absolute value of x, and we have g of x equals the square root of x. So the first thing we want to do is we want to set up a table. Okay, so for the absolute value of x, remember absolute value means distance from zero. So anything inside of an absolute value comes out positive, only on the inside. Okay, so the absolute value of negative 2 equals 2, and the absolute value of 2 equals 2, because both points are 2 units away from 0. So the absolute value of negative 2 is 2, the absolute value of negative 1 is 1, the absolute value of 0 is 0, and so on. Okay, now for the square root function, you so far in your math career cannot have a negative number under the radical. You'll see eventually that imaginary numbers exist, but we don't have to worry about that yet. So we want to start this graph with 0, okay, because anything negative is imaginary. So the square root of 0 is 0. And as a matter of fact, we're going to change this a little bit, okay, because the square root of 0 we can find, the square root of 1 we can find as 1, but then we're actually going to jump to 4 because the square root of 4 is 2. Okay, remember the square root means what number times itself will equal that number. So 2 times 2 will give you 4. Okay, we're not going to do 5, 6, 7, or 8, and then the square root of 9 is 3. The reason for that is because, again, we don't want to have to worry about decimals when graphing. So let's graph the absolute value. You'll see that absolute value functions go up in a V. Okay, they're very much like quadratics, except for quadratics are curved. These are not. All right, and then we're going to graph, let's see, 0 is 0, 1 is 1, 4 would give us 2, and then all the way over at 9 would give us 3, and it's just curved like this. Okay, so we can look at the graphs of the functions to see where they are equal. This can help us solve equations. So when does the absolute value of x equal the square root of x? Well, we can see it in this situation in two places. We can see it at 0, 0, but there's actually one other place. We can also see it at 1, 1. So what we're trying to learn here is that sometimes to solve equations, it's best, so 0, 0, it's best to graph them. Sometimes that's just the easiest method to use. Okay, and then we can see the other one here. Now, before we wrap up this intro shape of common graphs, we should know that the absolute value of x is a v. The square root of x, we should know, is kind of like this curve here. And then x squared would be I say a u, but it's actually a parabola.